Hello, everybody. So, as I'm sure you know, the new Netflix series on Devil May Cry is out. And after watching the whole entire thing, I have to say that Adi Shankar missed the point. Completely. With numerous backstory rewrites, not paying attention to the correct details, not giving the proper relevance to the proper things, and just an overall vibe shift, the Netflix series just completely misses the point. Now, a lot of people are mad about lore inconsistencies, and I'm not even going to talk about that all that much, because I think that a lot of the lore changes are minimal. Now, before we get started on me just airing out the things that I disliked, I'm just gonna say I'm gonna be spoiling some stuff. So if you haven't watched it, go watch the series, then come back and watch my opinion of it. So make sure to like, subscribe. Let's get into it. Okay. So, in no particular order, one of the things that I immediately notice is the weapons. Now, Dante's sword and guns are iconic. He uses a pair of heavily modified 1911s using 45 ACP, ebony and ivory. These are his guns. He's had these since forever. He starts with them in DMC3. In fact, I'm pretty sure he used them when he was still going by the name Tony Redgrave. In fact, I think he had them long before he even had the Rebellion, his iconic sword given to him by his father. But in the show, these have been toned down, both in terms of appearance, but also in caliber, because in the show he uses a pair of Berettas. Now, is this a meaningful detail? Yes, it is. It's a meaningful detail. It's a loss of caliber, they're a smaller bullet, but also it's a loss of characterization for the character. It shows that Dante just uses whatever, right? He doesn't actually concern himself all that much with his equipment. And I mentioned Rebellion, right? So let's talk about Rebellion itself. Rebellion in the show is named 0 times. It's just a sword that has a cool guard and like skull motifs and stuff. It's got nothing to it. It's not magical, it's just a regular sword. In fact, it constantly gets thrown around and disarmed, and Dante makes no attempt to recover it. It's almost like it's just a regular sword with no lore implication whatsoever. And Dante isn't the only one who suffers from this. Lady, who isn't actually in the show, so she's actually Mary. Mary never uses her iconic rocket launcher, the Kalina An. Actually, that's my bad. She does use it. She shoots it twice and then cuts 2 demons with it. That's it. One of the highest caliber weapons in the franchise, used twice. Awesome, right? By the way, this weapon should have been in her arsenal from Episode 1. She should have been using it from Episode 1. In fact, her introduction should have been with this weapon as the thing that she uses to close the gap between herself and Dante. And since we're talking about closing gaps, let's talk about the power levels of characters. Now, I'm not going to say that, oh, they made Lady too strong, because as I said, she's not in the show, but Mary is actually significantly weaker than Lady is in the games. What do I mean by this? Well, in the games, Lady overpowers low-level demons with ease. There are multiple scenes where she gets ambushed by 2 or 3 lesser demons, and she doesn't struggle at all to deal with them. She completely takes them apart with low caliber weaponry, with her pistols and her Scorpion submachine gun. No problems whatsoever. Meanwhile, in the show, she has to rely on a tech suit to create distance between herself and demons, and these specialized ammunition that explodes, which she also doesn't use. Another thing that I didn't like was Darkcom. I feel like the inclusion of Darkcom as a foil, I guess. It wasn't really a foil. They were just kind of there, but it seemed like initially they wanted to establish a, I guess, gap in competency between Darkcom, the government organization, and independent demon hunters and mercenaries. And by doing that, they created the expectation that Darkcom was extremely capable. Except they weren't. We're shown the mercenaries at the start, and we get a few lines of dialogue from each of them, kind of trying to drive home that these people have really strong personalities, and they're really tough and gruff, and don't mess with these guys. And then, you know, they go up against Dante, and Dante completely floors them all, no problem. And then we move on to Darkcom, which is established to be better than them, more trained, more well-equipped, more everything, except they never get to do anything. Every time that they fight demons, they lose. Now, one could say that, oh, but they were fighting higher-level demons than they fought before, and they never trained to prepare for that? Really? They knew these things existed. Hell, in episode 6, where we learned the rabbit's backstory, it's shown that they know that there are bigger demons out there. And because I'm just, mentioned the backstory, let's talk about that backstory. That has to be one of the stupidest, most good guys are actually bad slop fests I've ever seen. If you've ever seen any form of military doctrine or even military fiction, one of the things that soldiers, trained soldiers here, by the way, we're not talking about the independent mercenaries, we're talking about Darkcom, the ones who are heavily trained, heavily drilled, and disciplined soldiers that hunt demons. There's a scene where they encounter one of the rabbits, before he becomes the rabbit, smuggling operations where he's getting refugees from hell into Earth. And they kill a few of these refugees, these lesser demons that are basically quasi-humans. And then the portal opens, and a number of extra refugees step through with the rabbit, and they're arrested. Guns are on them, hands are going up, they've surrendered, and Darkcom is kind of like taking a good look at these people and kind of going, wait, these guys are practically human, they're barely demonic. What's happening here? And the person in front of them is a human. So what is happening? And then in comes a giant demon and starts eating them, starts attacking them. What would trained soldiers do in this situation? Would they A, focus fire on the big creature? Would they B, run away? Or would they C, shoot the refugees? Shoot the unarmed quasi-human. Which one do you think they would do? Because apparently Adi Shankar, in his infinite wisdom, believes that the trained soldiers who are taught to prioritize threats would shoot at the refugees, would shoot at the unarmed quasi-humans that surrendered. That are being attacked by this creature, by the way. I mean, if you think that this is a well-written backstory, you're as much of an idiot as Adi Shankar is, right? This isn't well-written. This is a plot hole. This would only make sense, and really, this would only make sense under one circumstance. If Darkcom wasn't composed of trained soldiers. That's it. If Darkcom was a research group from the government that hired independent mercenaries to work for them And so, let's say Lady's still there. Lady's an independent mercenary. She's got her iconic outfit from the game that she wears every time, the big shirt and the shorts and all that stuff. Netflix would never, right? Like, they couldn't have a woman in an outfit like that. But, we can have her ripping Dante's shirt off. That's fine. Regardless, they could never. But if they had, then that scene would make sense, because now we have independent mercenaries, people who are unpredictable, they're extremely capable, but they're unreliable. But what else are you gonna do? You're gonna get soldiers to do this? No, you need the independent mercenaries because they're the only ones who are capable enough to do it. They're the ones who have the gear and the expertise to actually handle demons. If you do that, if you do it that way, then yes, absolutely you can get away with saying they shot the refugees. If you use soldiers, you can't do that. You can't do that because now it's not believable. And actually, I will say this. It is believable if you are going into it with the idea that soldiers are automatons that just like killing. And if you have that idea of real life, please go outside. Please talk to people. See a shrink. You're probably already seeing a shrink. That's probably part of the problem. Disregard that last one. But I will say this, badly written. And since we've talked about backstories, let's talk about other people's backstories. Namely, Mary's. I almost called her Lady, but Lady's not in the show. Mary's backstory. I thought that was pretty good. I thought that was a good representation of her father kind of getting lost in this need for power and wanting to become stronger so that he could protect his family. I think that was good, but then they kind of threw that away, even though he's supposed to be a major villain. He's supposed to be the main antagonist, or... yeah, no, he's supposed to be the secret antagonist of DMC3, and then becomes the final boss of DMC3. So why throw him away? Like, they kind of just turned him into, like, this vampiric type thing. He kills his wife, and then sets the house on fire by accident and dies there. That was stupid. That was stupid, Adi. That was very, very stupid. Very, very stupid. I cannot stress enough how stupid this was. Because then you had the White Rabbit just figure out technology, even though he's human. And by the way, like, you can say that, oh, but the demons have an innate understanding of quantum physics. If that was true, then they would have been able to step through to our world, no problem. The refugees would not have needed the rabbit, but they did. So what gives, right? The demons clearly didn't have the innate knowledge to just cross over like that. Maybe some higher level ones, but if that was the case, then a lot of the story doesn't make sense. So we know for a fact that they do not have the means to do what the rabbit did. The rabbit figured that out by himself. How? He's a kid. He has no understanding of sciences, no training in engineering, no training in quantum physics, no training on any of that. He just has it? No, that doesn't make sense. That's, again, plot hole. That's bad writing. You want to know who might have known that stuff? Arkham. Yeah, you know. How about we take Arkham, Lady's dad, and we say, hey, this guy who has all of this knowledge, who is now half a demon, let's say that he's completely lost sight of wanting to be a protector for his wife and child, and now he just wants power. That's the only thing he cares about because it's been corrupted in his mind as he made himself more demonic. Let's give him the Jester transformation. And so throughout the show, we just see this Jester that's always next to the rabbit. And he's the one who taught him all this stuff, who gave him all this, these technologies, all this mixture of human technology and demon magic to be able to cross over and create these little portals to allow the refugees through. He's the one making all of this stuff, because we see that he's the one who developed all that alchemy between human and demon blood, right? He's the one who did that stuff. So maybe he should have been the one to help the rabbit, to transform the rabbit into what we see in the show, right? Maybe, right? This is what a good writer would have done, Adi. A good writer would have made this. So maybe next time let's get some good writers working here, right? Somebody who's actually going to look at the plot points that you as the director have created, and he's going to connect them properly, right? That's what a good writer does. And yes, I'm outright saying he's not a good writer. He's not good. He's not good, because if he was good, he wouldn't have fucked it up, right? That's it. On to Dante's backstory. So he just never met his dad. We're just taking that out. We already established that rebellion is just a sword, doesn't even have a name, right? So we're just ignoring that. He also doesn't have his fighting styles. He never learned how to do any of that. Okay. Yeah, let's just throw that out. All of the implications of that. Sure. Sure, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Bad writing, again. Let's talk about the demons for a bit as well. We've got 3 major demons. Agni and Rudra, which are technically one demon. Echidna. Plasma is kind of a major demon. He's not super strong, but he's kind of relevant. And then we have the Cavalier Angelo. Now, for those who don't know, the Cavalier Angelo is a type of artificial demon. He's a Dark Knight. What's a Dark Knight? Well, a Dark Knight is a person, a human, or a low-level demon, or a hybrid, that has been put into a suit of armor, usually against their will, and then forced to fight. Why was this not a plot point? And by the way, Virgil shows up in his Dark Knight form as well, but we'll talk about that later. By not actually going into the fact that the Cavalier Angelo is supposed to be an artificial demon, you lose the opportunity of maybe going, hey, this person that you've just defeated was a prisoner as well. Congratulations, you saved them. Woo! You could have done that, but you didn't because you're lazy. You couldn't even fucking... And by the way, like, 90% of this, they would have known this by bringing up the fucking wiki, right? This is in the wiki. You could have played the games, or you could have read the wiki. They didn't do this, so I'm gonna shit on them for it. The Echidna. Okay, the Echidna was cool. I'll say that. The Echidna was cool. So was Plasma. Good demons. I think Plasma getting mad at the humans of Darkcom for shooting the civilians was fucking stupid, though. Like, every time we see Plasma on screen, he is killing every single human he encounters except for the ones he wants to turn into. He's killing them all. He's got no fucking shame, he's got no mercy, he's got no pity. He is killing everything with glee. And yet, suddenly he gets mad when humans do the same. And he's like, they're just as bad as the rabbits said they were. No, nuke. Fuck you. Like, no, I'm not gonna feel bad for Plasma. Fuck him. The Echidna was cool. Yep, pure demon, pure evil, working there because he was told to. She was told to. I don't know. Doesn't matter. I do think one thing is bad, though. We never really get shown lesser demons created by Echidna. Probably because Adi really wanted there to not be the concept of lesser demons. Which is kind of why I brought this topic up, right? The demons. Lesser demons in Devil May Cry are the mindless ones. They're the ones that kind of just go and attack everything and kill everything. And the smarter ones, the more powerful ones, are the ones who can think. Lesser demons are just mindless creatures. But instead now the lesser demons are the ones that are closest to humans. Stupid. Bad writing. Bad writing. Outright. You wanna know why? Because they're demons. Because it's hell. You've got demonite Sparta, who is established to be one of the strongest generals of hell, who is smart, who is righteous, who is trying to protect everyone. And the story goes out of its way to establish him as being just as bad as Mundus. And also tries to establish that humans themselves are just as bad as the demons, while also trying to say Mundus is actually way worse than anything you puny humans could imagine, so how are we as bad as him? Right? We're going to break down the wall so that the little weak demons can cross over to Earth. Okay. Wouldn't Mundus just come over to Earth and destroy everything as well, though? He would, wouldn't he? That's what he would do. So why are we ignoring that? Why is that not addressed by anyone in the show? Not even the people fighting against the rabbit. The rabbit states, oh, of course he will, but it's irrelevant, because the good people are also going to cross over. No, dumbass. No. Because Mundus is also going to cross over. Mundus is still going to be there. He's just going to do to Earth what he did to Hell. But we're supposed to ignore that. We're supposed to ignore every major glaring hole in the rabbit's ideology. Because he hates humans. And humans are bad. That's it. That's the thing. The demons are the good guys. The little demons. Those are the good people, the refugees, the puny little refugees. That's the fucking message of the show. This guy Adi didn't watch any DMC content. He didn't play any DMC games. He saw a couple designs. I didn't even talk about Agni and Rudra because honestly, I thought that was such a missed opportunity to actually show how magical the demons could be. But of course they would never want to show that. They would never want to show a demon that is actually two demons, right? They would never want to do that. Because why would they? They go out of their way to scienceify the magic of the setting. And at that point, you know, like what is the expectation anymore? There is no expectation. Because the guy didn't give a shit about the franchise. Because if he did, he wouldn't disrespect it with every step he took. But I've ranted for long enough. I hope that the people who enjoyed the show enjoyed it. Truly enjoyed it. And aren't just going, haha, look, he's owning the chuds! Because eventually, it's gonna be your show next. And it's going to suck. And I don't want that. I want good shows. I don't give a shit about political messaging. Right? The political messaging isn't the problem. It's not. I specifically try to steer away from that, this video. Because it's not relevant. What is relevant is the writing. It's how you portray that message. Because he absolutely could have portrayed it differently. They could have said, yeah, well, when Sparta created the wall, it kind of needed to go up because of the demons, right? They're evil, but they're evil by nature. The same way humans are, by nature, a little bit more neutral. They can be good, they can be evil. Demons can only be evil. They have no other choice. Why? Because of their environment. Does that make them bad? Or does that just make them, you know, what they are based on their environment? And by the way, the old animated series from Devil May Cry had good demons. They were intelligent. They had these amazing powers, but they just wanted to live amongst humans, mostly. They had personalities. They had beliefs. The greater demons, the stronger ones, the ones who could take human form. Yeah, because some demons can take human form. This isn't addressed because they wanted to science everything. Because they lack whimsy. Because they are unable to write fantasy. Because they don't believe in magic, even in fiction. Oh well. What are you gonna do? Well, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna watch it. Unless I see something that interests me in season 2. I don't plan on watching it. And I will say this. If season 2 is as bad to the actual setting and franchise as season 1 was, I guarantee it's not gonna do well. Season 1 did okay. Because people were like, oh my god, Devil May Cry, I love Devil May Cry, I'm gonna go watch it. And then they were disappointed. Right? That's not gonna happen with season 2. Right? With season 2, people are going to be reticent. Because now, it's not, oh my god, Devil May Cry, it's, oh, Netflix. And right now, we have plenty of reason to hate anything Netflix puts out. We do. Wheel of Time, Rings of Power, any other franchise that you want to think about. Halo. Wait, was Halo Netflix or was Halo Amazon? I'm not sure. I don't really give a shit. Regardless, a lot of these remakes of old franchises suck. And they suck because these guys don't give a shit. And they don't give a shit because retards will watch their shit no matter what. And worse still, we've got shit-eaters who will shovel the shit into their throats because it pisses off the people that they don't like. And who are the people they don't like? The fans of the franchise, gamers. They hate gamers by default. And because of that, they want to make us angry. And so I just say, yeah, just don't watch the show. Just don't watch the show if it starts making you mad. If you feel like it's not actually respecting the source material, don't watch it. Or pirate it. You know, watch it without supporting. Yeah. But I've said what I had to say. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one. Cheers.
Thank you.